Everything that we love to do is going to be illegal in Canada in the next 10 years. Cutting wood, using fossil fuels to run your equipment in your vehicles, carrying a gun, hunting. You know, I need the right to bear arms. I need the right to speak freely. I need to travel when I want to travel or where I want to travel. Those rights are being eroded globally, and Canada is like a leader going down this path of losing our freedom. And I don't believe that's going to be the case in the U.S. I think there's enough people that will fight for their constitutional rights, and we just don't have that in Canada. We don't have that they let fires go, or that they can balloon into major fire. It's a lot of deciduous boreal forest, but I'm surrounded by deciduous, so that the fires don't tend to spread like you see like 5 here. Yeah, we raised our 2 daughters that are adults now, 20. There's other countries that would be fine to move to, but starting over as an expat, but trying to do that in a let's say Mexico or Costa Rica or something, to move there and start over where you're clearly a visible minority in a sort of an unstable global situation. Yeah, I don't know if I want to start off where I'm so obviously not from that area. That's what makes that difficult. I feel like Canada has always been American culture. That's the way I'm 55 years old. Yeah. I grew up basically thinking I'm essentially American. We consumed American television, media, products.
Well, I always say it's one of the few 2 countries where you used to be able to put quarters in each other's vending machines.
Yeah, exactly. It's good analogy. But here we are in a country that's decided we're going to go in a different route with our political system. So to try to separate from the U.S. is the most foolish thing we could possibly do. And the wedge that our politicians and our people are driving between Americans and ourselves is just, it's not healthy, it's not right, and it's a bad path. It's the wrong path to go down. If I had to choose one over the other, absolutely choose America.
It's interesting you say that, because part of the reason why I didn't close on this recent property, which was picturesque in my opinion, I mean, I've been developing this thing called the Preparedness Resilience Rating Scale, and this scored very high. It scored high on every dimension. But one of the things in the back of my mind was what you're referring to, which is this increased regulation, really the lack of rights, privileges, whatever you want to call them, and just the government breathing down our necks at every turn. And I'm seriously giving consideration to moving out of the country at this point, because, I don't see a bright future if we continue on this trajectory for freedom. I mean, we have 90% of the country that's crown land, that's you can't even own. They're taking away all the guns. The future doesn't look too bright for people who are of an independent, self-reliance mindset. Now, that said, I also caution people, and perhaps this is a note to self, that I think that the American form of authoritarianism is almost like complementary to the Canadian form, whereby eventually the other shoe will drop, and who knows what the opposing party will leverage those new bureaucratic mechanisms that are now in place to coerce the population with, in the same way they're doing in Canada. What I'm trying to say is that I think it's moving towards the same end in both countries. It's just one's the blue-haired version and one's the red-hat version. And ultimately, you're seeing a consolidation of power. But if I could, at this point, Montana's looking pretty good right now, if I'm being honest. Where would you move if you moved to the States?
I'm looking. We're still researching. In fact, this winter we're going to do some more traveling around to figure that out. From a freedom constitutional perspective, Tennessee stands out. Florida stands out. Although for homesteading, it's not quite as attractive.
No tak. Wygląda to w ten sposób. Ludzie, którzy zainwestowali kupę kasy w Kanadzie w domy ewakuacyjne, tak zwane domy, w siedliska, w szklarnie, w miejsca, gdzie mogą gromadzić żywność, w bunkry, w miejsca przetrwania, to są grube miliony dolarów. I jest tych ludzi dość sporo. Ci ludzie w tej chwili chcą to wszystko sprzedać w Kanadzie lub też po prostu zostawić i uciekać z Kanady. Ich pierwszym wyborem są Stany Zjednoczone. To jest naturalne, ponieważ ten sam język jest blisko w miarę. Nie zdają sobie z tego sprawy, że dokładnie tak jak powiedział ten ostatni, który się wypowiadał, przedostatni, przepraszam, ten w czapeczce, który się wypowiadał, Stany Zjednoczone za chwilę będą w dokładnie takiej samej sytuacji jak Kanada. One już są w takiej samej sytuacji. Ci ludzie nie mają zielonego pojęcia, gdzie uciekać tak naprawdę. Montana, a może Tennessee, a może Floryda. Widzieliście przed chwilą. Ci ludzie nie mają zielonego pojęcia żadnego. Jak ktoś nie ma prowadzenia Boga żywego i nie jest w przymierzu z Bogiem, z Panem Jezusem Chrystusem, z Jachuszą i nie jest prowadzony Duchem Świętym i nie ma ochrony zastępów anielskich, najwyższego Boga, to właśnie tak będzie skakał z lewa do prawa, z prawa do lewa, a może tu, a może tam, a może lepiej zostać w Edmonton i tam zgnić, z głodu umrzeć, z zimna. Tak to wygląda, kochani. Módlcie się, zawrzyjcie pełne przymierze, normalne przymierze z Panem Bogiem Wszechmogącym, a będziecie prowadzeni i niczego wam nie zabraknie. Gwarantuję wam to. Zostańcie z Panem Bogiem.